Good morning and happy Friday. Hopefully, you're watching this while it's still AM and not PM. I know some of you guys are really struggling to get up and get things done, but I really encourage you to try to get your bodies on a much more normal schedule. It's better for your mental health if you get up, even if it's at 10 o'clock in the morning, but get up and do some things while it's daylight. The weather's been beautiful and you're sleeping all day, staying up all night. Not all of you, but some of you I know you are. But anyway, I'm just worried about you guys. I miss you guys. I hope you're well. Um, yeah. Anyway, so this was a short week this week. We just had Wednesday, which you guys took a quiz. I ended up putting it's already in RenWeb if you want to look. What I did is I entered it in the homework quiz category. I just weighted it twice, so I counted it twice. So that actually helped a lot of you guys, bring up your grades a little bit too, because you did really well on the quiz. And yeah, so check that out. Some of you are missing things from last week. You did not do the toxicology lab, the interactive, just a handful of you. And some of you never turned in the final copy of your 20 questions from chapter 9, or at least the second. So look in RunWeb. If there's a P, you're going to be, your parents are going to be getting a call from me tomorrow to check on you and make sure you're okay. So get those things done. So we're going to start chapter 18. Hopefully you already watched the brain games. It was just a short little 5-minute clip I wanted you to watch and answer a couple of questions. And now I'm going to just start chapter 18. And I don't want to start too much on a Friday, but I want to at least intro it so that we can just jump in next week. Next week we'll cover the bulk of the material. And next week I will present what you guys are going to do, how you're going to do your final case study. The crime scene photo, my husband and I are going to make mine this weekend. So I can post a picture and an example and show you guys on Monday kind of what I expect. So he's kind of excited. He's like, "Are you going to kill me?" And I was like, "Maybe." So we're going to spend the weekend creating my crime scene, and then I'll show you guys on Monday. So be sure you check in on Monday. I think you guys will have fun and get to showcase some things that you've learned this year. So chapter 18. I feel like there's something else I'm forgetting to tell you guys, but whatever. Okay, I didn't do any contests this week. I need to come up with another contest. So we did skip ahead. We just can't get to all 18 chapters in our school year anyway. And usually I can get in one more, but it just didn't work out. But that's okay. So firearms and ballistics is a pretty good one because you hear about, finding the gun that committed the crime is like a huge thing. There's so many crimes committed with guns nowadays that this is a huge piece of forensic evidence. So this opening case study, suicide or homicide, kind of like our little Wake Up Wednesdays we've been doing. So I'm going to read it to you. So Sandra Deist, like I normally would do in class. Sandra Deist, and that's how it's pronounced, kind of like guy, but it's Deist. Sandra Deist's body was found lying in a blood-spattered sheet, on blood-spattered sheets next to a 9mm pistol in March 2000. So this was 20 years ago. Gunshot residue and star-shaped skin tears around the wound indicated close-range firing consistent with a suicide. During the autopsy, however, one entrance wound, but 2 exit wounds were discovered. Actually, they ended up discovering the second entrance wound was discovered upon further examination. So they discovered basically 2 entrance, 2 exit wounds. The manner of death was changed from suicide to homicide. So they ended up finding 2 entrance and 2 exit wounds, and they're like, this can't be a suicide. So medical examiner Stephen Cole, MD, reported that the first wound would have completely incapacitated Deist, meaning because it was a bullet right through the head and came out the other side, she would have been incapacitated, meaning no longer conscious or able to hold a gun and pull the trigger a second time. It wasn't like she just grazed her head or grazed herself here. It was straight through the brain, the first shot. So they really believe there's no way she would have been have the ability to fire the second shot. Ballistics expert Greg Boyer agreed that she could not have fired the weapon twice because the recoil would have prevented a second shot from hitting her. Because it would have recoiled back, even if it had gone off the second time, they're saying it probably would have shot in another direction, just from pulling the force of the gun coming back in her hand. It wouldn't have been a perfect shot. Boyer also explained that the gun did not misfire, so someone else had to have fired the second bullet. They did examine the gun, and they were able to figure out that there was no misfire. So it wasn't like it accidentally went off twice. It was the trigger was pulled twice. So it's kind of an interesting case. So more than a year, this is really interesting. More than a year before her death, Sandra Deist had told her sister about a note to be read in the event of her untimely death. In the note, Deist stated that she would not commit suicide, and if anything had happened to me, look first to David Deist, who's her husband. Her note revealed the head injuries that she had incurred a few years earlier were not accidental. They were inflicted by her husband. And then a handwriting expert stated that the handwriting was consistent with that of Sandra Deist. Oh, we didn't get to do the handwriting chapter. I really like the handwriting chapter. It's good. Anyway, so let me finish this and then I'm going to show you a clip. So blood spatter expert Rod Englert, not sure if I said that right, stated that the blood evidence at the crime scene included a void consistent with someone standing over the victim. Remember what a void is. A void would mean somebody was there, blood spatter happened. Oh, you can see my hand. Something was there, blood spatter happened, and then this object moved, and now there's a void, a space where there's no blood. So there was a void consistent with someone standing over the victim, whether that was on the sheets or on the wall. It's not really clear here. And then tiny blood spots consistent with a mist of blood produced by high velocity, close range impact were found on the shirt belonging to her husband. So remember that high velocity spatter is really, really small. It's like a mist, and you might not be able to see it just with the visual eye, but under close examination, they were able to figure out that the DNA was her blood. So how did he get a mist of her blood on his shirt if he wasn't in the room when she killed herself? Further suspicion fell on David Deist when it was discovered that he had recently taken out a large life insurance policy, shocking, on his wife, and he was having an affair. And he had financial difficulties, like all the complete obvious murder mystery things. It's kind of like he obviously isn't watching enough Forensic Files. So anyway, he was arrested, tried, and convicted of first-degree murder. Now, interestingly enough, there is a Forensic Files on this case, but I already had you guys watch a Forensic Files this week, so I didn't want to make you watch two. However, I am going to show like a 3-minute clip of the part of the Forensic Files that talks about the ballistics, because this is what we're getting into. So if you want to, over the weekend or whatever, later today, watch it, you're welcome to. It's season 11, episode 7. It's called Murder, She Wrote. And we're just going to watch a couple of minutes of it. And the sound should be okay. I think I fixed the problem. I will find out after I make this video. If the sound is still wonky, I will just post the Forensic File separately and with a little note saying, oh, come on. It's not going full screen on me. With a little note reminding you, I'm going to stop that. Back here to the case. So you're more than welcome to go watch it. It's pretty interesting. It explains that, like, the head injury that she had, that they talk about here. There's also another article. Where is it at? That's not it. Where's my article? Oh, here it is. This was really interesting. Look, no, I'm getting Grace Prep ads on my internet stuff. Isn't that funny? I was like, what is happening? I might link this article just if you're interested. It's just they go into real detail about the case, and there's some different pictures, and it talks about the Forensic File episode. But the initial injury that had happened a couple of years prior, she said her horse had kicked her in the head. She had a head injury, but she later told I forget who it was, maybe her sister, somebody else, or maybe it was in the written note that she gave her sister, that her husband had actually hit her in the head with a hammer. So it's kind of a crazy case. But the most important thing here is the ballistics, okay? The fact that they saw 2 entrance, 2 exit wounds. It was close range with burn marks on the head, so they knew it was close. And then it ties into the blood spatter, everything we learned in Chapter 8 about blood spatter, because there was blood spatter on the gun, but not on her hand. So how is that possible, to be holding a gun and blood spatter, little tiny tiny droplets getting on the gun and not your hand? So really kind of an interesting case. So you are going to answer a couple of questions. I forgot to say this earlier, just about what this opening case is. So be ready to answer a couple of questions. So I'm not going to have you take any notes today. We'll start with notes on Monday. Sorry. But I just wanted to kind of let you know what we're going to be talking about. So when we say firearms and ballistics, what are we talking about? Okay, so basically we're talking about, obviously we know what a firearm is, but the ballistics are basically any evidence that's being examined as to the gun, the bullets, the trajectory of the bullets, the shell, the casings, the bullets themselves, and being able to match them to guns, which is pretty interesting how they do that. We're going to learn about what rifling is and different marks that are left on the bullets and on the shell casings. If you didn't already know that, a lot of you already know a lot about guns. So you're going to learn a bunch of different vocabulary about rifling and lands and grooves and breaches and breech blocks and gunshot. We'll talk about gunshot residue, which most of you are familiar with that. Oh yeah, I don't think there was any gunshot residue on her hand either. So I just wanted to intro it a little bit. So how does ballistics relate to forensics? You guys are probably more familiar with this and blood of the two, and DNA are usually the topics that everybody's most familiar with. But the key is, like with every other type of forensic evidence we've talked about this year, the key is to link a suspect to a crime, to the crime scene or to the gun. So linking someone to the gun is pretty tricky. But linking a gun to a crime scene can be a little bit easier. So we're going to learn about how do you actually link a gun to a crime scene. So usually what they're trying to find out is what was the gun that was used in the crime. And so they're going to be looking, why do they look for spent cartridges? Why are they going around with metal detectors or, looking around the house trying to find those cartridges? What is it? How in the world does that cartridge tell us what gun it came from? We'll find out. And why are they looking for the bullets? Why are they digging bullets out of people's bodies? How does that help them match it to the actual gun that it came out of? So it's pretty interesting. And I think I have another good interactive website that we can use for this as well. And so I think I'm just going to stop there. So I just want you to be aware of what we're going to talk about. You have a couple of questions to answer, a little form to turn in that will just help me know if you guys were here in class today and paying attention and being responsible for your learning. So when you guys don't take care of the things on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays that I post, that tells me that you're not going to class. And so that's not okay. So I know life's crazy right now, but you guys can hop on and get to class. I think your parents are expecting you to. So I have a couple of parents I already need to call, but the rest of you guys are actually doing a fantastic job. And I miss you guys so much. And reading your comments as to what you guys have learned after the Wake Up Wednesday, some of y'all had me in tears. Seriously, like, thank you for being honest and opening your hearts to me. That was really awesome. And I feel for you guys. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Love you guys. Hopefully we'll set up a Zoom next week and talk a little bit about firearms and ballistics and all that good stuff. And y'all answer the questions and then go have a fantastic weekend. See you later. Bye.